Everybody, welcome back inside the stash. Gonna do a little bit of a what have we got in lately type of video here. This will be really quick because I'm sure most of you who follow along the channel know we're sort of under draconian budget restrictions right now as far as the hobby goes. I mean, bills in the house getting paid, but no fun money right now. But that should all be changing, hopefully shortly, as we get into the fall shipping season, because we got about 3 weeks or so, and then the doors are going to fall off the building, so to speak. Every year, UPS and FedEx have seen record number of packages come through, and this year is expected to set new records. I know we're hiring like 100,000 temporary workers for the holiday season. So if you want to go make a couple of bucks and you can spare 5 hours a night, certainly, and you're a warm, capable, able-bodied person who doesn't mind lifting some stuff, it's always an option for your holiday savings. At any rate, like I said, there's just a few things here. Basically, this is all stuff that was purchased several months ago and is slowly but surely leaking its way over here from Japan as it ages out of Hobbylink Japan. Basically, this is all, people who obviously follow the channel know how Hobbylink Japan works. They have a personal warehouse system that allows you to buy things and then store them in Japan for up to 2 months before you have to start shipping them out. And then, of course, my stuff is coming over via the cheapest shipping method I can put on it and trickle it out underneath that cheap shipping method, because I can ship like 3 kits for about $12. That all takes 3 weeks or so to get here. So this most recent package took 26 days to get here from Japan, which is not a big deal. It's obviously not like I'm going to be, building it right this instant anyway, but just, it is stuff that is not exactly new. Let's put it that way. It's stuff that is, at this point, 3-4 months old, that is just sort of filtering its way over here. So it is what it is. I was certainly bringing my buying down a couple of levels anyway, just because, there's comes a point where you have a whole heck of a lot of stuff, obviously, and this just, what interests me is very specific things, and I'm sort of focused on what those things are at this point, rather than buying everything that I see. It's amusing and sort of frustrating at the same time to see people going crazy over the Ollie's kits because they've gotten another shipment of stuff in. So if you haven't been through your Ollie's lately, you might want to go check. But it all is all stuff that has been around for, months and years, and just because it's suddenly $8, it's, super desirable. I'm not a person that buys things just because they're cheap. Having them be cheap is nice, don't get me wrong. I love me some cheap models, but I'm not going to buy something that I would not normally otherwise purchase just because it's $8. And I see a lot of people buying stuff that, again, you got 50 copies of it, and this is, copies 53, 54, 55, 56, these guys will come out, and it kills me. I know, I'm turning this more into a commentary, but it just was because of Wally's. I see people buying $100 to $200 worth of $8 model kits, and it's like, well, it's multiple copies of the same thing. I don't believe you're ever going to build any of them anyway, because we're all in that same boat. We're never going to build the stuff in the first place. We just like to look at it. And if you wouldn't have bought it at regular price, then why would you just buy it now because it's cheap? We all know. We all know what the Ollie's kits are. You're never going to make that money back. You're never going to buy kits for $8 at Ollie's and then sell them for $30 on eBay. That just doesn't work, because everybody knows what the Ollie's kits are, and everybody knows that, which ones they are. We just had our local fall hobby show here in Pittsburgh 2 weekends ago, and I was talking to one of our big vendors. It wasn't our show, like my club show, but he goes to all the shows around here. If you've been anywhere in the tri-state, quad-state area, I know John travels up to Detroit. He goes down into Virginia sometimes, all over Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio. But it's auto modelers, John Betker. talking to him, and he said that people have come up and been like, "Hey, I hear you buy collections." And, oh yeah, I buy collections. And then they try to sell him, reams of Ollie's kits for like, and then they of course want full price for them. And it's like, I know, we all know what those kits are. We all know you paid $8 for them. You're never going to make your money back. You're just going to have a whole bunch of duplicate kits that could be trade fodder for sure, but I don't understand the principle behind it. But that's just me. Anyway, that's a whole another side thing. So we got 5 things here. Just a few interesting pieces of Japanese model art, as it were. So first up is the Fujimi reissue of the I'll put it this way so I'm not talking in front of it. The Toyota Crown. This is the S130 Super 2000 edition here. This kit had not been reissued for quite some time, especially not in a stock version like this. It's a very, very basic kit. Here's your body. It is pretty much a standardized fare for anybody who builds into these Japanese kits. It does have that annoying thing where the sunroof is more carved into it than I would personally like it to be. I'm not a real big fan of sunroofs in general. Just me. It's got a very basic set of factory stock rims to it. And the overall parts content, not real high. It's got a bucket-style interior. It does have a slightly more modern chassis to it, in the sense that, there's a bunch of stuff carved into it as you would expect, but at the same time, it's not motorized. You do get, a reasonable facsimile of a modern front and rear suspension. Now, it is going to still run metal axles through there, but it's not nearly as bad as some of these older Toyota kits can be. So, there is that. Very basic decal sheet. You see in there on the corner of the box there are a couple different gauge clusters, and then a few different little bits and pieces, and those 4 little crown logos there for the center of the wheel hub, or the hubcap. So there's that. Then we got the new Tool Fujimi kit, the first of their next-gen series of this. This is the Suzuki Hustler. I waited for a couple versions of this to come out. This is the one that's in the what they call white pearl clear or something like that. Some goofy name for it being molded in white. It came out originally molded in blue and orange. I waited on it because I did not particularly care for the fact that those kits that only came with Mylar decals, or Mylar stickers, I should say, weren't even decals. But you get a reasonable amount of parts, actually a fairly decent amount of parts, considering the fact that it is a snap-type kit, and it is designed to be sort of basic. You've got a fairly detailed chassis for a snap-type kit. I mean, brake lines molded in there and stuff like that. The body itself is very modular. Take this out, really, because these next kits and their bodies are kind of the fun part. It's a very modular body. Like, the roof is separate, the whole front clip is separate, the back clip is separate. Allows them to really do different variations of these tools very quickly and very easily by swapping out various body panels. This is something that Fujimi is now sort of specializing in with these next-gen kits. Would not surprise me to see other manufacturers follow suit if it proves to be popular. One thing about hobby manufacturing is that if something catches on, then everybody does it. So there's your separate roof panel. It's not really a white pearl. I don't notice any metallic to it. It's just sort of a molded in an off-white more than a white. And there's just like reams of parts. The bumpers, whoops, themselves are molded in silver, but of course you'd paint those just because bare plastic. And another parts runner. There's the hood, the rear deck, the bottom of the fog light area, and then your grills and bumpers are in black. Your fender flares, tinted rear glass. There's a whole bunch of missing parts here, so I'm assuming they could tint all the windows if they wanted to. And then you have a fairly basic interior tub that the seat bottoms are molded into because it's Fujimi. But then you get into the decal sheet itself, and you see back here in the back, there's like a Mylar press and stick kind of stickers back here. Those, are what comes with the kit standard, and they represent pretty much everything that would be a different color You see the stuff down here is like the brake lights, and there's let's see where to go. This white that's appearing over here is like the trim to the interior, but then it has a regular, just what I'd call race flag inspired livery package with all the various Suzuki, how should we put it, logos and things like that. And then on the back here is the interior pieces, the gauges, and all that stuff. So it does have a set of water slide decals in this kit. I do not believe any of the other ones have water slide decals. And then you have a set of little gumdrop tires and factory stock wheels. All in all, it's a neat little kit. If you're into the subject matter, obviously. It's not going to crank everybody's chain, I realize, mainly because of the fact that, well, it's Japanese, but it's kind of obscure Japanese. You know, you have to, hey, boy, you know what I really wish I could make a model of? Little K, and that's K-I, or K-E-I, little K truck, which is a just Japanese term for subcompact. And so there's that cool little thing. And then we have its sister kit, which was just put out not that long ago. It is the Mazda Flare crossover. That looks awful familiar. Yeah, so this is effectively just the same model kit, just with some Mazda logos thrown into it. I actually haven't had a chance to look at this, but I'm assuming that more likely it's the same parts. It appears I've watched John's unboxing video on this, and I'm pretty sure that the parts were effectively all the same. I'm going to take a quick dig through here and see if I notice anything different at all, and it does not appear to be. The decal sheet's a little different in here. It doesn't have the racy decals. It just has a very small sheet with the Mazda logos themselves. If it would focus, there you go. And then I believe this is the exact same sheet as the other one as far as the sort of interior gauge cluster stuff goes. Doesn't want to focus because it's shiny and stuff like that. But here's the Mylar sheet back here. And you see it's got all the window trim and stuff on it like that. So again, I bought this. I believe both versions of the Flare, because there's one molded in yellow, come with the decal sheets and the Mylar stickers. I think they sort of learned their lesson, as it were, on the first one. But really, the only difference between these two kits, the Flare and the Hustler, is the fact that there are Mazda logos in this one. They're clearly rebadging the cars. They are, identical to one another. So there's that. One kit that I was actually happy to get because I'm interested in this tooling is the Hasegawa, new tool Hasegawa street version of the Skyline. Now we have the somewhere. I'm not sure it's going to show up in a frame here. Actually, it's right there behind me. We have the race car version. So this is the street car version. I'm not going to go through this whole shebang, but I'll just give you a look at what you have, because I'm not going to pull this all out of here. So this is the basic bulk of the parts. Everything in here is molded in gray except the pieces for the body. The front bumper, the rear bumper, the spoiler, the chin lip, and the rear taillight fascia area are molded in this dark blue. The dark blue may not be everybody's favorite color. However, if you're going to build one of these cars specifically, to get an idea of what the chassis looks like as far as the molded in detail, basically just the engine block, everything else is separate, so not too bad there. It's molded in this shade of dark blue, because this car is the homogenization version of the race car. The race car obviously is a Group A Japanese Touring Car Championship version. We haven't gotten to that car yet because we haven't gotten to the 1990 season as of yet in terms of the stuff we're working on in the JTCC video series. By the way, if you like that video series and you're wanting more, I have the 1989 season filmed. I just need to get time to edit it, so that'll be coming shortly. But this car, the street car, the 1987 Skyline GTSR, was painted this dark blue. I'm going to try to work on getting somebody to make the paint code for me. for us, I should say. That's doing for me. I'm going to do me any good. I won't use it for a while. But all 831 of these that were made, because this is the homogenized car. They had to make so many of them in order for it to qualify for racing. All of them were painted this exact same color. Now, that isn't to say you can't throw some other rims on this and paint it whatever color you want to, but if you want to make this GTS-R as it stands factory stock, it has to be that dark blue because that is the only color it came in. We got a set of decals here from the fine folks at Hobby Design. I know, shocking that I have decals, right? I'm gonna throw the directions, the decal layout, and then a picture of the real car up while I'm talking about this because I'm not gonna pull these decals out of here right now. But these are for the 2016 Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 EVA Racing team. Now, this is a GT300 Super GT team, and it is obviously based on the current GT3 specifications in Japan. They allow sort of this weird combination of what they call the mother chassis, which are things like the BRZ and the Toyota 86, and to a certain extent the Toyota Prius, because there's two different Priuses running. One's running the mother chassis, one isn't. But they also allow the European GT3 chassis to be run in GT300. So obviously the AMG is in there. The M6 has at least one team running it. There's a couple of Acura NSXs, a couple of Lexuses, and stuff like that. The the RF GT3. But so this is the decal sheet for that. It has a couple of different color stripes here. I'm not exactly totally sure what the deal is. I've got to do a little research as to what color is correct. I'm not sure if they made a set of decals for an early version and a late version because the cars tend to change up their graphic schemes, or if they printed the decals and then realized that, oh crap, we printed them in the wrong color, and then came back and reprinted part of the decal sheet and then because a good chunk of the stripes were already printed on the sheets that have the number placards and all of the various little associate sponsorships and the windshield header and stuff like that. They just reprinted the stripes again in the correct color. So I've got to take a look. So anyway, like I said, this is a GT300 series car. You do need the Sprint headlights from Splash Paints because it is the only place you can get them right now. For this, because they do not run the endurance headlights, as you can see, and so that's interesting. There's going to be another GT300 class car coming out, decal sheet coming out this month for the Good Small Racing team out of Hobby Design as well. So you will be able to build two of the 2016 AMG cars. And then last kit we're to talk about today is the version type. I don't even know what we're even calling this at this point because we've gotten so far into these kits. This is the type 1.5, I guess is what we're going to call this. We're going to be when December rolls around and the next version of this gets put out, we'll be at 4 of these. This is the third one that came out, like, again, 4 months ago. But this is the Liberty Walk R35 GTR version 1.5. The significant changes in this over the last 2 is the fact that this one has the new front, it was completely different front end entirely because the hood's new too, but it has all of the front end pieces to make this a 2017 spec Nissan Skyline. I don't believe that you can actually make a street 2017 out of this because yes, there is, of course, the over fenders are separate and all that sort of things are separate on here, but I'd have to take a look at the parts and beyond just casually showing them to you as to whether or not there's enough in here to make a stock 2017. You'd obviously need a regular hood because the hood in here is going to be quite rambunctiously designed, as you can see here. It's got quite the aggressive sort of air intake to it and things like that. Basically, I shouldn't say all of these parts are new, but several of these parts in this bag are new. The taillights are new, the hood is new, and then it's hard to see back in here if I can get it one thing to move one way and one thing to move the other way. But this front lip is different. This whole front bumper assembly is different. And I'm not sure that that front bumper assembly is stock enough to run stock. But because, like I said, the over fenders are separate. Obviously, it's got a set of the same old at this point 20-inch wheels that are in all of these. Actually, you know what? Because they are the cool people they are, they did include the regular GTR hood in here. Now, whether or not that fits onto the new front end or not remains to be seen. But there's the new, well, those are the 2008 headlights. Somewhere in here will be 2017 headlights. Or maybe those are the 2017. I don't know. There's so many, there's a ridiculous amount of parts to this. This does have, of course, because they all have at this point, it does have the second set of interiors. There's actually two of them, as you can see here. There's these two black runners. So it has the right-hand drive and the left-hand drive interior in here, which has become the gag, if you will, for these kits. They carry the both sets of interiors, so you can build these U.S. spec, because the left-hand drive interiors for these things are designed to be U.S. spec. So, I mean, it is what it is in the sense of being the over-fender monstrosity that it is. Yeah, so it's just a matter of whether or not that front end, without the lip spoiler on it, would be anything resembling like close to a factory stock car. And I'm probably gonna guess that it's not. And maybe if you filed the actual spoiler part off, it might be. It's an interesting research project. I don't understand why at this point we're not getting a 2017 GTR out of Aoshima. They obviously have their reasons, whether it's licensing or whatever, but at this point, with this kit coming out with all of the 2017 updates to it, you kind of wonder, you know, what licensing would they, further licensing would they need at this point for. But at any rate, that is what it is. The livery in here is much simpler. It's a very, very small sheet of decals. The decals in the other ones have been like big things I could take out and show you. This one is a much smaller size, because you can see on here, there's just a few Liberty Walk logos, a few logos for the various little pieces, like Forgaccio rims and stuff like that. Much more subdued car than the other ones have been. So, anyway, guys, that wraps up this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys on the other side.